and just made a lot of noise.
I thought we were reading about rules. You guys had rules.
Oh, yeah.
We saw your camp rules.
Welcome to Elsy Wameyo as well. And you know what's so
was
funny?
that you who created the rules?
Of course.
It's you who created the rules. Why did I even ask that question? Of course.
My favorite is number 5. Have fun. If you don't, you'll be kicked out.
You get kicked out. If you don't have fun, why are you here?
How do you threaten people to have fun?
I'm not going to threat. It's all love.
My
It's all
goodness.
love.
Nilotic, same old game but a different breed. Cargo J's in the plain white tee. It's a SY, not SIE. Still been vexed for a couple of weeks, but it's not that deep overseas. I trip just to come out and breathe. Fly too much so I don't pay fees. On my side, the grass is green. Stacks on stacks and I don't mean trees. Like though I'm sweet low key, and on God they wanna be like me. My guys rolling SUVs, Lambo trucks and off-white seats. Cargo J's in a plain white tee. It's a SY, not SIE. So when I speak, when I drop new heat, play back repeat, sit up straight then. Attention please. We're not with that.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the 30% podcast. 30% podcast. This is episode 90 of the 30% podcast. 90 divided by 30 is
6. What's happening?
I don't know why I chose to go down that road and I didn't have the answer. This is a 30% podcast. I am Sam. I'm joined by...
No, it's 3.
I found. Yes.
Sorry,
30,
okay.
90 divided by 30 is 3. It's 3, right? Oh, we've just botched the intro. 30% podcast. Look, we're having our guests do maths instead of talk about music. I'm Sam. I'm here with the legendary, the greatest of all time, top 2 and not 2. Afame Funa. I feel like we should do claps for you. I'm doing claps for you. And
yo, what's up?
Yeah. And we have a guest. We have a guest today. I will be introducing her shortly, but just know, preview, she's legendary. Before we get there, let's get into you guys. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you. We appreciate every single person who tunes into this podcast to listen to 2 introverts talk about the music industry. That's what we do here. We talk about the music industry. We talk about the fun things. We talk about the not so fun things, the light-hearted things, the dark-hearted things. And yeah, the things that make this industry move. And by this industry, I mean the industry specifically in Kenya. But we also touch on international topics because they're relevant to us. If you're listening to us, or if you want to listen to us, we are on Spotify. We are on the Apple platforms. We are on the YouTube platforms, YouTube Music and YouTube Video. And you can find us at the 30% podcast. And we're also on social media. That's Spotify, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, and X. And you can find us on there as a 30% pod. On them socials, is there anything else with the... No. And in real life, oh yeah, I mean... Yes, I'm Sam. I go by Are is late to the party on Instagram, and Afam is _Afame Funa on Instagram. Just spell it the way I have said it, Afame Funa, and you will find him. Yeah, our guest.
Hello.
Oh wow, so sweet. Hello. You can't you rap. Your rapping is a little bit too aggressive for you to say. Oh, hello guys, hi. No, that's not what we're doing. Should I intro you or should you intro yourself?
I want to hear what you'd have to say. Go ahead.
I don't have much, but what I have is very powerful.
Ooh.
We are talking to the Nilotic queen.
Oh, finish. That's it. Full stop.
Right?
Oh.
The curator of Nilotic energy. She is the Nilotic G herself. The SY, not the SIE. Elsy Wameyo in the building. Let's all clap for the lady.
That was solid.
Sorry, I don't have much more than that. That's all you get.
I think that's profound. That's heavy. I feel like that wraps up exactly who I am in a few sentences.
You're the Nilotic. That's your whole persona now. Like you blew up off being a Nilotic.
Nilotic G, man.
So now you have to be a Nilotic for the rest of your career.
I mean, I can't run away from it, man. I think it's a bit too late now, you know.
It's generally who she is. So yeah, it makes...
Yeah, I'm a Nilotic.
Yo, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Like, yo, the first time, I'm not gonna lie, like, I heard your music recently and I was just like, yo, the levels, man, just so insane. And just the production, your videos and everything.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
guess we'll get into all that stuff like later.
For
I
sure.
want to ask you a very important question.
Mm-hmm.
How's your day? How are you?
How's your
How's
your spirit?
My spirit. That's a really important question. I'm good. My day's been amazing. We were just saying the weather's really nice. I've just come from rehearsals. I've got some of my crew in here actually, right behind the camera.
Hey, the crew.
The crew's hanging out. But yeah, we're chilling. We've had a solid couple of hours of run through this morning, and I feel like this is a really nice way to kind of finish the afternoon and just sit down and chat.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're good. We're chilling. How are you?
Bro, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for asking me. Yeah, Sam, you never even asked me.
You're
how
exactly.
I
I knew. See, this is predictable. I knew you're going to go into that immediately. I ask you all. I'm tired of this guy.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm chilling. Just I woke up not too long ago. It's a beautiful day out here in Brooklyn. So yeah,
Love.
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking.
Of course.
Yeah, man. So Elsy, where do we start?
Talk
the
to
S-Y,
me.
not the S-I-E. Bro, yeah, so I guess I want to start in the beginning. Although interviews don't really
Start
have to be
at the
chronological,
beginning.
but like
Top of the list.
so your upbringing, like I went to your Wikipedia and stuff, bro. Like Wikipedia is such a nice source of information.
Yeah, fair.
As much slander as it's gotten in school and everyone, they were always like, "Yo, don't use Wikipedia." But
Yeah, I
anyway, I use
remember.
Wikipedia a lot.
Have you gone to your own Wikipedia page?
I've been on it a while ago. Yes.
Have you edited it?
No. I feel like do you know?
Grammy nominated.
Huh?
Just throw Grammy nominated in there. Yeah,
That's how you kind of bring it to life.
Yeah.
I think I remember the first time I saw it. Actually, someone sent it to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're in Wikipedia." And I remember at that time I never understood how Wikipedia worked, and I thought it was just like Google generated. But then I've realized that people can actually go in and like edit and stuff. But I've never had the time. I feel like my days are just too busy. Like I have so many other things to think about. But maybe I should go and edit it and change the Y to. If they've put an IE, is it spelled correctly at least? It's spelled correctly, right?
It's spelled correctly.
Okay, cool.
It's spelled correctly.
That's enough. Honestly, that's enough for
hilarious.
me. That's okay.
That's enough for you.
So
okay.
So they say that you were born in Nairobi and then you moved to Australia. So like how's your whole upbringing like, and how's that influenced you as a person and also you creatively in the music scene?
Yeah, so I was born in Nairobi. I left when I was about 7 years old, straight to Adelaide, Australia. I think because my music is a reflection of who I am and this is the journey that I walk, it's never two worlds that are like far apart. So what you hear is honestly what you get in real life. And it really was just a mind mess up. It really is just like what do you call it? I mean, it's like being put in a different environment where your body doesn't thrive there, your mind doesn't thrive there. Like nothing is for you in any way. Yeah. So naturally as a being, naturally as a being, you're always wanting to adapt because we're wired to want to fit in and to assimilate and kind of adapt to our environment. So now I think going there, especially when you're so young, it is easier to adapt. But now I think the problem is when you're young, especially at that age of like 7, 8 years old, that's when your wiring is being done. And so whatever you're taught at that time is so significant to like what you kind of become. So I found that I remember like year 2, year 3, maybe even year 4 in school was such a tough time because I was bullied. People laughed.
For what?
There's a long list. Where do we start?
You don't look very bullyable.
There's a long list.
I mean, it wasn't like your typical like, you know, you're ugly or this. Actually, no, I take that back. They did. They called me ugly. No, there was so many things.
Was this here
this is in Australia. Exactly. So it's just racism. Honestly, so like you just have. I remember this is so awful, but I remember there was this one time, right? So we were. Like before class, you'd always have to line up in front of your class and the teacher lets you in. So we've all lined up. It's hot, Australia desert, obviously, and we have sticky flyers. Yeah. So there's flyers everywhere.
Sticky flies?
like we call them sticky flies because they're like you shoo them away and they still just like come to you, like they never leave
bold
you.
Flies.
No. Oh wait, what did you say?
Bold flies, like
bold
they don't care.
Flies. Oh yeah.
Wait,
exactly.
Are they just like regular flies though?
No, they're flies. They're just regular flies. We just call them sticky flies because you know those flies that when they come to you, you try like shoo them away and they just don't leave you.
It's usually the old ones too. The big old slow ones. Yeah.
So we call them sticky because they stick to you. But they're just flies. They're like regular flies.
Shout out sticky flies.
Okay.
So we're now outside of a classroom, and I remember this So we're lining up, and these kids behind me, they just like you just hear the like the whispers. And basically they were saying like, they were basically saying, the reason the flies are there is because my dark skin is like poop. So they were calling me poop and that's why the fly.
See, we're not doing that.
So it's like little, and then imagine you're like a 5-year-old kid and you hear that. Nothing in your mind goes fight. Because for me now, talk that to me, I'm fighting you, right? But at that time as a kid, like you kind of just like take it in. So you have things like that. People tease you because of like, you know, when we went to school, my mum would pack us like a thermos of rice, nyama, nini. It's like you're eating well. But white people eat like crisps and sandwiches and stuff. Yeah. So you open up your thermos of juice a 3-course meal and these people start running away. They're like, oh my gosh, what is that smell? And then the teacher will be like, step outside because the class is like, it's just very little minor things ignorance. that really shape.
Sorry that happened to you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't have.
It's made you stronger.
Exactly. You wouldn't have Nilotic 100%. I don't think Nilotic would exist. But I mean, in short form, that was kind of my journey. And I feel, the reason that we have the Elsy today is because of those upbringings and those experiences.
Wow.
And Outcast, I guess, because Outcast, I feel like really, really addressed some of those like themes that you've just like gone into.
Yeah.
But sorry that happened to you. What sidebar? I really wanna before this whole podcast ends, you have to put us on to like some dope Australian like slang. Like please.
For a fact, yes.
You're talking to the wrong person.
No, really?
You're talking to the wrong person. You're talking to the wrong person. Like I'm telling you, we try to. Not that we try. It's not like an intentional thing, but if anything, I'm so far away from, like, I know things, but nothing in my mind goes, oh my gosh, like what's an Australian slang? Like,
how long have you been there?
But I do get what you're saying. Like I relate in a sense because moving out here, like it's hard. You just don't feel like you're in. You don't feel like you're at home. You don't feel like you're with your people.
I mean, you're not, right?
You're not. You actually, I mean, bring it back to your song Outcast. You kind of feel like an outcast. Because like the people out there are so different. Like even the way they're socialized. Yeah. Like it's so different. Like
their mannerisms.
The things they find funny. Yeah. Their humor, their mannerisms.
Talk about it.
It's like,
talk about it. That's literally it. Like you can't sit in a group with like white people, let's say, and crack certain jokes because they'll look at you like you're cooked.
Exactly. It's not a joke to them. It's but it must be fun. Like, do you have a do you have a community of Kenyans over there? Like,
yes. You
socialize within a Kenyan?
Yeah. I mean, there's now, especially like when I moved there wasn't like it was. There was some, and we were so close to the point where in the whole of like Adelaide, let's say in that city, we would all go to like someone's house, and we were very, very tight knit. But now because there's so many of us, it's just so much you don't even know half of the people. Okay. But I mean, it is a blessing in disguise anyway because you have the ability to find your people and there's some form of safety net. So naturally you just be like, let me just go find my people and chill.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, so a lot of what we see with many artists is usually their struggles and the things they grow up going through is what ends up being like a major theme in the music. We see it in hip hop, we see it in like a lot of different styles of music. Yeah. And just interesting noting that you kind of went through what you went through in a completely different society, and now it seems like your overall goal is I am pushing, like you said it before, like I'm pushing to 5'4". I'm trying to get myself and my culture, the culture where I'm from, on a map, and that's super cool because there's artists who leave and then they're gone. Yeah, true. Don't associate with anyone. So that's super fire.
I think you get to a point, honestly, like. You can try and run away from it, but personally for me, I'd say I got to a point where you can't even run. Like as much as I also have my difficulties here in Kenya, like it just gets to a point you trying to deny it is just silly. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I just know that I'm not necessarily in the safest place anywhere outside of Kenya, you know, so it only makes sense.
That's cool. Do you feel any pressure to...
In what sense?
Do you feel any pressure to show your... to prove might be the right word, to prove your culture to the rest of the world?
Not at all. If anything, almost backwards. So now the weird thing is, in Australia especially, because obviously we've got all the expats over there.
Okay, yeah.
So you've got amazing artists like, let's say, Sampa the Great, you've got Genesis Owusu, like you've got so many amazing African artists that are coming out of Oz.
Yeah.
Sampa specifically is the one that she carried her culture intentionally. I wouldn't say Genesis has done so much, but obviously at the end of the day, our overall goal at the end of the day is put us at the front page, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I remember when I was doing Nilotic, I definitely had this thought in my mind that was like, oh, people are just going to go that, like she's kind of taken that easy ticket out. As much as obviously for me personally, I know why I landed there. And I mean, half the time you kind of just land where you land, but I know, I don't know. I think it was kind of almost a reverse pressure where I almost felt to not do Nilotic because of that, you know, population on that side and that kind of, I don't know, just that idea of like, oh, maybe it's just a thing to do for the name of, like all in the name of like, get the numbers or like, go the African route, you know what I'm saying? But now that I'm here, I'm just 1000% in it. Don't care about nobody, don't care about, I'm all in it.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So before we get into Nilotic, because man, that is such an amazing EP.
Thank you.
An amazing
and a career definer too, I feel.
Amen.
Yeah, body of work. No, for real. Everything about you is very artistic and intentional, man. I peep the game. Like I can see like you're like everything, like from you producing it yourself, and you also directing your own videos. But we'll get into that. I wanted to ask, what's the music scene out there in like Australia? Like do you have like people who you listen to there? Like because for me I'm really like blank on it. I really don't know too much.
Honestly, I think I still gravitate to quite a lot of expats over there. I can't say that I listen to like Australian music. So I guess Australian music is like predominantly indie. What's another? I don't know if is folk a thing over there. I don't know. I think predominantly indie, and you've got your rock. Yeah, rock is a big thing over there. So it's a lot of just bands, guitar, live, whatever. And I mean, I know a lot of artists that are amazing that, you know, just do really, really cool things, but it's just not my palette. So like I wouldn't like open Apple Music and listen to like Australian music, quote unquote, if that makes sense. But but there are some really, really cool artists. I think it's just for us, again, it's like, we don't come from there. So our sound is just obviously going to be different. The way we look at music, we have very different rhythms. So it's just so different. But I think I tend to listen to your, like maybe Sampa the Great, Genesis Owusu, TK. But honestly, like even these guys, I don't listen to people enough to say I listen to these people. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean you don't listen to people?
Yeah. I don't listen to music very much.
Yo, this is the thing with all artists. Artists
I
don't
really
listen to
don't.
music.
So much.
I don't listen to music very much.
Oh my God, you're my people.
Yeah.
You're like me.
I'm not my people. I think for me, it's like, I'll listen, like yesterday actually, I remember I was like, I need to just listen to worship the whole day.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll worship and I'll listen to praise but I think it's, when I'm listening to music outside of like worship or gospel, let's say, I think it would be to curate a vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe if I've gone for a walk, I'll be like, okay, let me play I have a playlist called like Safety.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm feeling like, oh, I just need to tap into, you know, just that confident, I'll be like, oh, Kendrick, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it just depends, but I don't think I can go days without putting like headphones on and going, oh, let me listen to music. Maybe even weeks. I don't know.
I was just gonna say before you go, like Sam, I know Sam is looking at us crazy because like as much as we all make music here, like for me personally, like I can't I know so many people who listen to way more music than me, and they're like, "Wait, you're a producer and you don't."
How
listen
does
to that
it?
much
Yeah,
music.
It's like a requirement.
For me, sometimes it just feels very overwhelming, And I make music all the time, so sometimes for me, music it's an escape, yes, but like it's also like all my life. So I'm just kind of like I don't listen to that much.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. I feel like we're in music so much.
I mean,
we're
true.
Just like,
it's true.
I
It's
don't
true.
know.
And I think for some artists, they tend to stay away from that because, like, I think there's artists who are sponges.
Oh, so that's me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and you
yes.
tend to whatever you listen to, and I'm like that as a producer.
Word.
Like if I listen to, let's say, a couple of old school, like if I listen to Benny the Butcher, I listen to Alchemist, I listen to the next 2 weeks, I'm just on boom bap the whole time, and I just can't help it.
Yes.
So I soak in that. So for a lot of people, they tend to stay away. How I think I mitigate that is if you look at my liked songs, it's you have a pop song, then you go right into country, there's Afrobeat,
right?
And it's just
it's an array.
Yeah, so that kind of helps. But I get that though. I get the just not wanting to mess up your creative space.
Yeah. I think we have to understand that we're all sponges, really. Like we're porous beings, and I think
porous beings. I like that.
Yeah, we're porous beings. Like everything is like we have holes everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like we're porous beings, and I think we forget that a lot of the times from the sound, from touch. This is a very side note, but like I remember talking about with my mum. You know how people like cook and they always say like putting love into food, and this might sound disgusting, right? But like you think about when someone's like kneading dough, let's say, like their sweat is going in that, right?
So sweat, what we're saying is sweat is love.
So sweat could be, but then you think about it on a deeper perspective though, like your spirit, right? Which is like what's oozing out of you, and whether that's sweat, whether that just like whatever you call that energy, that's what's kind of being released. And I think, anyway, going away from the food, I feel like that's what I think I've just realized that, we're so quick to subconsciously soak so many things up from what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're smelling, what we're eating, whatever it is. So I feel like at the end of the day, everything that we create, everything that we do is a byproduct of what we've already experienced.
Yeah. A lot of artists also feel like they need to do that for them to become
inspired, maybe,
inspired,
or
but it's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, I guess it's maybe just finding your balance, because at the end of the day, it's like you have to learn from someone in something.
Yeah.
I guess it's just being cautious of how you're doing that and how you then execute to create for yourself.
Yeah, that's cool. So really quickly, let's how did you get into music? I guess because I know you do different forms of art.
Yeah.
Right? You're a multi-faceted. How do you
faceted? Yeah.
How let's I guess we could start from how you got into that, like from your upbringing into music and how that sort of kicked off.
Honestly, I think singing came first from church. My mum, quote unquote, forced me to sing in church.
Bless her soul.
Bless her soul. And that was when I kind of began like singing in front of I guess people.
Yeah.
And I remember for the first like maybe year or so, I just didn't want to do it because you're told to do the dishes, and then now you don't want to do it because you know what I'm saying.
If you were going to do the dishes on your way, and then you're told, Elsy, could you please do the dishes? Now I don't want to do it. Now I'm not doing it.
So now I think I had that like energy. I was just like, oh, now I don't even want to be here.
Yeah.
But then it got to a point where people were like, oh no, you can really sing.
Yeah.
And I think beyond that, there was definitely, and I really thank God, it's really a spirit to be able to like lead. I think when you're a worship leader, it's a whole different conversation. And I remember there were just, there were sessions and services that we had that, I had to lead a service at such a young age. And there were things that I would do that I didn't even necessarily realize, but my pastors and people in church would kind of just like point at and be like, no, there's a spirit there.
Yeah.
So now growing up, I had always done music in school because it was compulsory. But I loved it. And I was the kid that always went to the music room at recess, at lunch, and just spent time there because I just loved it. And then my dad is a lover of music. He noticed my love for music and he dropped me at a like local studio near the house. And
shout out to Pops.
Shout out to Dads.
Yeah.
So yeah, he dropped me there like every week on Mondays. They had like a session for free from like in the afternoon, like after school hours. So he would just like drive me there, drop me there, and I would just be around like really, really talented, cool, professional.
Wide-eyed,
yeah.
just in awe the whole time.
And I would just sit there for a while. And then I remember I watched TK Maidza, who is now TK Maidza, record and perform. And I used to just subconsciously soak up. And yeah, I think it was at that point that I started recording in studio. Talking about the mic thing, I remember when I used to go into the booth and I would sing and I would snap.
Yeah.
And the producers would be like, you can't snap your fingers because it's...
keeping time.
Yeah.
Keep time in your head.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I remember those moments, like just learning how to record in a studio, learning how to, So yeah, that was kind of where the professional side of things started. And I was around the industry at that point, and a lot of people saw a light in my eye that I couldn't necessarily see. And then the rest is history. Now I'm at 30% podcast. Talk to me nice.
Oh my goodness, imagine that. That's crazy.
No. Even before that, like talk about history. Like one of the things that I saw about you that's just so cool is getting the placement for, because I grew up like playing games, like so the Pro Evolution. That's insane. For me, that's like the peak. A lot of like my inspirations like with music came from gaming, honestly.
Wow.
So how does that feel, like getting a placement for the I guess they call it eFootball?
eFootball, eFootball.
eFootball.
Pro Evolution Soccer, that's what we knew it as.
Yeah.
There was like a fight between Pro PS and FIFA. FIFA was always superior.
True.
Yeah.
Nike and Adidas.
So how did all that come about?
I mean, like placements like that comes from publishing, really. So I had signed with, it was actually, off the back of Nilotic. I think Nilotic definitely caught a lot of attention, and a few companies out here all over there in the UK reached out, and publishing company were like, we really want to support your music, and they synced me onto PES, I guess, or eFootball, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I feel like I never realized how deep it is until someone says something like what you've said, where they're like, oh my gosh, you're in PES.
Imagine you're playing and you hear Elsy, like, oh, that's
yeah. And I think
Elsy. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, I feel like it was actually more profound when I came here, because eFootball is not a big thing in Australia, and I think Western is FIFA. Okay. So Africa, I think, or maybe Kenya specifically, I'm not too sure. I think you guys are really big on PES and eFootball and things like that. Yeah. So I think I felt the impact more when I got here, and it was actually quite timely for me to physically be here, because this is where I remember like views went up, Shazams, everyone was just like, who is this girl? And all the comments on my page was just like, I've come from eFootball. I've come from eFootball.
Yeah, there's always those.
Yeah, so that was, I think, those are the moments where I'm like, okay, like that's pretty cool.
It is. No, it's super cool.
No, for real, trust me, like you are etched in, there's a 10-year-old, 12-year-old who will always be nostalgic from your music.
From that music.
Like, amen.
Yeah. Just like how we were
I swear,
to like FIFA around 2013, 2012, around that time. Like,
exactly.
Whenever that music plays, I might not necessarily like the song, but I'm paying attention because it strikes an emotional chord. So you're out here striking emotional chords.
And somebody's music taste right now, like,
it's been curated by
gonna
that.
be curated by
that.
Because that's me. It is, because for me, I'm a product of like playing those games when I was a kid and listening to the soundtracks, and that's really informed a lot of like my music taste today. But talking about the Nilotic, pardon?
No, I'm just saying that's really profound. Like that's left a mark on my heart. I love that.
It is.
That's really profound. I appreciate that.
That's the thing with being an artist too. You never know when what part of you is going to impact whoever.
Yeah.
So it's just, sometimes it might be a burden. Other times I think it's just a blessing. It's like my life, like me just living, doing what I love to do.
Yeah, is impacting and changing lives. Yeah. We thank the good Lord.
So talking about the Nilotic EP, bro, like the 808s, man, in River Nile, and for real,
I love it.
The 808s in River Nile and Nilotic, man. I just want to say that transition from the call to Nilotic is one of my favorite things.
Love, appreciate it.
Yo, like, and you self-produced all these, so What DAW do you use to make music?
What? Sorry, what did you say?
What DAW? Let's get into some DAW wars, some regular.
Or what do you use to make music?
I'm on Ableton. Yeah.
No.
He said, "Oh man, no." But guys, let me say this though.
I'm an FL gang.
I'm a producer, right? But honestly, I find it very hard to call myself a producer.
Why?
Why?
I think
you produce a song that was. You can't say that. You're not allowed to say that. I won't allow you to say that. I'm sorry.
You can't.
So
we won't allow it.
No, I don't even.
The 30% podcast does not allow you.
No.
Consider yourself not allowed.
Okay.
You're a producer.
No, but do you know what it is? I think I like to say.
Yeah.
I guess maybe. I mean, yeah, it works. I like to say creator, but I feel there's definitely a skill that comes with. I mean, everything that we do, whether it's rapping or producing or whatever it is. And I think there's so many people out there, and this isn't a comparison thing at all. I think it's probably just a me knowing what I know and what I should and what I could know.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt the skills that I have, but I definitely just know that there's a really big gap between if you were to sit me next to an actual producer that plays with plugins, plays with this. Because for me, my production world is I thrive off of the fact that I don't know. Yeah. So Nilotic is very basic in what you hear, and you just hear a guitar line and you might just hear a nice, whatever it is, but it's simply because that's all I had. But when you know so much, you'll be like, oh wait, this plugin 487Z935.
I know exactly what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but no, like don't allow yourself to be intimidated by people who, bro. I know so many people who have multiple plugins to just like. There's a specific plugin
only use
to like attenuate the high end, or just to like do the, you know what I mean? Like, listen, if you can make music and it's cohesive also, and somebody listens to it, like you're a producer.
Also, there tends to be an arc. There tends to be an arc, and I think I experienced this a bit, right? So when you start producing, all you have is all you have,
right?
Right. You have your stock sounds. You know what is very basic. And you just want to translate your ideas, and then when you get more knowledgeable in it, now you want to do a lot.
True.
Right. You want to start going crazy, but if you realize the most prolific and I guess the veterans, so it's you start easy and then you go all the way up to complicated and I want to have a different bridge and I want to have a B section and C section. I'm using this plugin for this sound and this compressor for this tone.
Automated.
When you get to the end, kind of simplify.
You come back to so that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah. Exactly, because now all right, I know how I want to translate things. I know exactly what I need to do and where I need to go to get the sound I need. I don't have to throw everything and force emotion out of it. So you started, you're an artist, but you went into production. Why?
It was honestly just a frustration of trying to explain to someone else what I was hearing in my head.
Okay.
Because for a long time, when you hear the Outcast singles, the Pastors, Daily, whatever it was, so I was working with a really amazing producer. Yeah. And I remember for times like we would be in a session and sometimes I'd be like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And it's not to say that he's an amazing producer, right? Like it's not to say that he's not good at what the work is, but it's the fact that when you're working with two people, you're then now working with two different minds, different visions, two different feelings, so at the end of the day, it's always going to be diluted at in some way or another. And I just found that a lot of the times there are things that you hear in Nilotic that I was saying back then, but they were just not translating. And then also like culture, when I'm like, I remember when I was doing Nilotic, oh my goodness, guys, there was a time, I think it was in actually most of the tracks that you hear, like River Nile, Nilotic, you know how you hear this Messiah sample over and over again? Yeah. The amount of comments that I got from this producer that was like, oh no, hating. No, I remember, and he said it. This kind of goes back to like little Elsy back in school about those little things. It was kind of very sly and just like quick, and he would be like, oh, but it gets too repetitive. It's going to be annoying to the ear. It gets too repetitive. People are going to get. But for us, and I don't know whether this is just a me thing, but I feel like as Africans, you think about church, right? We sing the same chorus hour in and you're like, Jesus, like we're so into chants, we're so into it's so in us. Yeah,
if you think about the Maasai culture, you think about our traditional music routes, that's kind of what it is.
Exactly. Really. So now I think that when I was doing Nilotic is when I realized I was like, there were so many gaps, even outside of the music, like just the culture and things like that I just honestly couldn't translate. So now thank God for COVID. Personally, for me, COVID was a blessing. No, honestly, it was a blessing. I can't. I mean, it was sad in so many things.
Yeah.
No, Sam, don't throw me under the bus.
Sorry.
No, personally, it was a blessing. We wouldn't have Nilotic without COVID.
COVID was good for the introverts, man.
Yeah, exactly. I would say so. A lot of people would disagree. I would personally say so. But no, I mean, COVID sucked. But for me, it was my time I was literally, obviously, like many people, locked in my own room, and I had a little setup, and that's where Nilotic happened, because I had all the time in the world. I was in the best mental space. I wasn't being affected by anything and outside. So I kind of just found myself on Ableton, pressing buttons, and so many times I was like, wow, this is what I've been hearing in my head. And that's how I started production.
Isn't that crazy as human beings? Is when we cut human beings off, that's when we're at peace. Yeah. Like, that doesn't seem like that's how it's supposed to work.
I think it's a balance. I feel like I think we sometimes don't know when to stop. And I've seen a lot of people who kind of I'm going to use that typical, like, you know, when you go out, you go for a party, you go for this, for that. And that can also kind of suppress because, you know, you go back home and then you realize you're like, oh my gosh, I'm all by myself. And you don't know how to act when you're by yourself. You're like, what do I do for fun by myself? So a lot of people just go back to people be your people. But I think it's really important to have solitude.
Stop. Sorry, so back to the Nilotic, right? Man. So before, hold on. Before Nilotic, there was a lot of singy-songy.
Singy-songy is crazy.
Singer-songwriter. And then when you got to Nilotic, you began the raps.
Yeah, man.
And that's, tell us about that whole, I guess, it's not necessarily a change because you still sing.
Yeah.
But did that transition into being more, I guess, forward with your rapping and using that as another medium, I guess?
Yeah, I feel like there was definitely parts to it. I always say it started subconsciously because I grew up listening to YMCMB, a lot of rap, and like I always said, like, Lil Wayne's my father. I want him to like just.
Lil Wayne is your father.
Yeah,
if there's anything you guys want to know you guys should get from this interview is Elsy Wameyo said,
Lil Wayne is my father.
Weezy F.
Come on. What you know about Weezy F, baby?
And the F is for finisher.
I'm talking to the right people. Yeah. So I grew up just loving on YMCMB and Nicki specifically being the, you know, woman in there and just all of that. I grew up listening to that. So I think subconsciously I was definitely a rapper and I had that character in me. But now I think coming out to Nilotic, it was a point where I had a lot of freedom and a lot of things to say. Yeah. And so with melody, I always say to people, when you're singing, it's very hard for someone to hear what you're saying because they're just lost in your melody. And they're just like, wow, she sings so beautifully. Yeah. And you've sang for 3-4 minutes. Someone has no idea what you've said.
Sounded nice though.
Yeah, you're like, but it sounded good, which is so fine, you know. But now when you have hardcore rap, it's just
you're talking.
Yeah,
you're forced to listen to you speak.
Exactly. You're forced to hear. You're forced to listen. There's no pretty melody, I guess. So you have to now hear what's being said. And I feel like I got to a point where I just had, very specific things to say, and rap was what was going to cut that through. So the Nilot G was unleashed.
The Nilot G. That's such
so
a
you've said Lil Wayne was definitely a big inspiration. Like, who else do you listen to and draw inspiration from?
I feel like those of like Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Birdman, those were definitely like a subconscious influence when I was younger. Right now, I would say it's still always going to be the OG Kendrick Lamar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh,
okay. And Little Sims. I think Little Sims I love. I think a lot of her, maybe it's her persona, it's the energy, it's the values. But when it comes to intricacies, when it comes to lyrics, definitely Kendrick.
Why Kendrick? What about him, I guess, draws you to him?
I would say it's his depth, it's substance. You hear a song and I don't think I've listened to a Kendrick song that's just a song. Like, there's always depth. You know, I was talking about this to someone the other day, like, even this whole like diss track to Drake, right? Like, it's just a diss track and it's funny. Yeah. But
he threw in a whole history lesson in there, talking about we were slaves. Like, bro, just diss the man and move.
It's so deep, and like, and I feel like the reason it hurts so much is because it's truth. So like, a lot of the things that he's saying is coming from somewhere. Visually, you're seeing him like that cell. I remember that I saw this person like breaking down that cell scene where he's doing like push-ups, and he's like, he drags it back to this I think it was like a model or something like that who was, I believe, I don't know if she was like sexually assaulted or something at a young age, but everything is just like tied to something. So it's just the depth. I love the depth. I love the substance. I love that it's so much more than the words that you're hearing.
Yeah. That's cool. So you said Nikki. You said, I do hear, I don't know, I know artists don't necessarily like that, but I do hear Nikki when you rap.
Oh yeah.
And you know what that is about? I was thinking about it this morning is you have a gentle, you present with a gentle spirit.
I am
very
gentle.
Sweet.
Tell the world, please.
All right. Don't
it's the
lean
people
into
that
it too much.
It's the people that are laughing in the background.
Yeah. So you have very gentle
smiles.
spirit, but then when you start rapping, it's like forceful. It's presence. And I really see that with at least with the Nikki influence, it's really there and it's present. So that's super cool.
Thank you.
And the depth too, I guess. From Kendrick, I haven't seen you. I mean, I've not heard one song that's.
It's just vibes, yeah.
It's just vibes.
I should release an EP on some vibes.
Are you purposely staying away from vibes, or you just don't?
I can't do it.
You just can't.
I've tried. I have tracks somewhere I know that are just simply vibes, and my heart just doesn't. Like, I can do it, but then I can't release it to the world. But I was actually thinking about it the other night, where I was like, oh, maybe the next project I should just like drop an R&B, just like very. But I think for me, naturally, that's just how I create, even if it's a little story from when I was 5 years old. Like it has to be connected to something. I can't just write words, man.
It's cool. We have enough artists doing that, so thank you for being on that side.
I'm balancing it out. You're welcome.
Yep.
But sorry, go on. You're telling the world about how sweet and lovely I am.
I think we moved past that. I think we moved past that. No, but no, you are. You're definitely very kind.
No,
and,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
The how many minutes? I mean, we just met today, so.
No, we just need to reiterate
I don't know if these guys are sick of you. I don't know.
Some of them are.
Humphrey is like, y'all don't know this girl behind. Like, you don't know who she is. She's a menace.
I'm a good person, guys. I'm a good person. Okay. I try my best.
That's dope.
So, coming off of the Nilotic EP, how long does it take you to, reset and now like conceptualize the next project from that? Like, what's your process like in between projects, I guess?
That's actually interesting, because when you look back at the catalog, Nilotic and Saint Sinner are the only projects that I have. So that's my only experience.
Yeah.
But like I was saying before, my music is a reflection of what I'm just like living, like my journey.
Yeah.
And Saint Sinner is actually the back of Nilotic, 2 different seasons, but Saint Sinner couldn't have come without Nilotic. So I don't want to call it a reset, because it wasn't a reset, and that's why Saint Sinner is the way it is. Because so Nilotic, I did the project, did the tours, bang, bang, and I got to a point where I was just so over it. Like, I was just so tired. I was so exhausted. Yeah, like it's just a lot. Like, I mean, the quickest summary is just that you get to a point, especially when the world now like loves you. Yeah. You get to this point where you just feel like
they love you too much.
No,
like, leave me alone.
Not exactly. I feel like you just feel like a commodity. Like, you feel like
yes,
you're just being, you know what I'm saying? Like, just go here, do this, all for the name of whatever it is. Anyway,
artists become slaves to people. And labels,
the industry.
Now we're talking about the industry,
yeah. So I think, I just got to that point where I was like, this isn't really fun anymore, guys. I'm sorry, bye. So I really just, I went to London, I remember, and I just kind of ran away from the noise, I guess you could say. And Saint Sinner was actually being birthed at that time. I just wasn't sure. So like the first track you hear, Repercussions, I wrote in London. But it wasn't necessarily reset. Honestly, I think it was just a seasonal change, I guess you could say. Yeah. But I will say there are definitely moments where it is just like I have to kind of intentionally go, okay, maybe we need to actually rest. Maybe we need to actually go for a break and have even just a week. Like, a week is enough. A week is enough, because there's so much happening, especially when you're doing music. You write the music, then you record it, then you mix it, then you master it. Then you do the videos, and there's probably 3 videos that take 3 months to do. Then you go on tour, and then the tour is like 3, 4, 5 months. Because like my tour now, we're not finishing until like 2025. Like, what am I gonna? Yeah, like it's just so like, what do? You know what I'm saying? So there's never really time to
be yourself.
To be, man. Yeah. So honestly, whenever I can, I will just try and like pretend that it doesn't exist for 2 seconds.
What's your best way to pretend?
I just tell myself, I have to just say it. Like, you just say it until you believe it.
That's your mantra in the morning?
Yeah, because
in front of the mirror.
I just sit there and I'm like, I'm just going to pretend like nothing exists today and just like not do work. Like, truly. Sundays are my best because Sundays it's like you go to church and then I'll again just pretend like nothing exists and just not work. Mm-hmm. But I'm such a workaholic, so it's very hard to pull away. Well, actually just having this conversation in the car, like artists, I think really struggle to pull away because we genuinely love what we do so much. And now for someone like me, my music is my healing and that's where I'm actually growing and that's where I'm learning. So it's very hard to walk away from that. But I'm really trying to be intentional about, just like resting, whether it's like spending time with family, cousins, whatever it is, like just anything that isn't the music. It's tough. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy as art. Those are some of the things about artistry that's really annoying because you wake up in the morning and you have a song and you're just you're very very excited about your creativity. And then the moment you put it out, you now have to, the industry forces you to turn your inspiration into work. Right? Yeah. And for some people, it's fine. Once you find the balance, I guess you're able to do that properly. But for some people, like when they're done from tours, it's crazy. That's how a lot of people get into like self-medication and all these other things, just so that they can come down from that being up high on a pedestal, being like, I have given you the music, you'll love it. Now I have to slave myself to perform it for you. And if I don't do that, then you take me down. Like the life of an artist is
quite
crazy,
ironic.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
It's quite
you chose
ironic.
It's the life you chose.
Sam said, but well, you're here now.
Yeah.
It is what it is, man.
That's dope though.
God's grace. God's grace.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know. So do we get into the recent drop?
Let's.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Saint Sinner. So you talked about
congratulations.
Congratulations first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really dope. You know what I really like about the project? Coming from, and I don't want to sound like I'm hating, but then coming from this side of things, we don't see a lot of projects that are curated in the way you've done it and have like a theme from start to finish. Sometimes there is a theme, but a lot of it feels more like I have a bunch of singles and I'm going to throw it in and then I'm going to give it a name and like a look. But yours actually seems like you had stuff that you were thinking about and you curated in that way. Even how the project is sequenced, right? Is in the beginning it starts repercussions and then you get into sinner and all that stuff and then you end with saint. And there's like a progress between your thoughts. So I can trace your thought as you are producing the project and what I've gotten, right?
Yeah.
That's me. Is that what you wanted? Is that
exactly.
like how you were planning? Okay.
1000%. I think it's kind of going back to what I was saying before. I create from substance and my journey and it's chronological because that's just the life that I've kind of lived really. And I'm very, very intentional, and the people that have worked with me get very tired because they know that I'm very particular and I can get very annoying because this has to be like this.
You do come off as I'm hands-on. Like, this is going to be done this way and I want it to be done this way.
Yeah.
In a good way. Oh no, look. Oh no. Her people's is like definitely
no, people's are shaking their heads. Oh no. Man. No, but I mean, do you know what?
I mean, you could...
Your people betray you.
I was just going to say, you could genuinely tell from the fact that you produce your own music and you also like direct like the videos that you want to be part of every single aspect of it. I really respect it.
No, thank you. I mean, for me, I can't think otherwise. Like, it doesn't make sense that... What's a good analogy? Like, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't even need an analogy because this is my life. You have to understand it's like, maybe if you're doing like vibe tracks, like that's calm. I feel like at that point, do whatever you want, fair. But I feel, especially a project like Saint Sinner, it's like we're working and translating my life, my walk with God, Elsy as a little girl, because we've gone through it all. So it doesn't make sense for me to go, let me hand my life over to someone and do whatever you want.
That does make sense,
you know what I'm saying? So I feel for me, as much as that's just naturally how I'm aligned, when you're just looking at it on paper, it only makes sense to send it through across, from top to bottom and make sure that you're translating. Because people, you know how you were talking about the whole pest thing and how, kids are being And like you're curating kids, like people are gonna, if you say one wrong thing, people kind of carry that. So my goal is that people know and see me as transparently as possible and as authentically as possible. And I don't want it to be tampered with in any way, because then I'd just be lying. You know what I'm saying? So I would just do what I do.
You do allow other people to have some sort of, I don't say influence, but then have some sort of, because I mean you're not here creating your album art by yourself. Are you on Photoshop? Are you also on Photoshop? Because Ableton now is Photoshop. Are you doing everything, but you allow when it comes to the when you need to.
Yes.
Even like I guess touring and everything. You're not doing everything yourself. You allow space for other people to.
But you see now, even in that allowing of, people to jump into and enter that world, it's still very specific. So when it comes to, like, I guess I'll speak about band because I can see people here. It's like, before I enter a room with someone, I have to meet you. I have to talk to you. I have to tell you what I'm doing. I have to tell you the journey. You have to understand where I'm trying to take it, so that somewhere along the way when Elsy lashes out, you understand why. Yeah. So even before we start the work and we start the music, like talking about let's say the camp and the album, before we went in to actually make the music, we had 2, 3, 4 months prior of just chats. Yeah, it was conversation. And then someone like Polycarp, who I had known for a whole year prior to that, he now had the best knowledge of who Elsy is, what she's about outside of the music. And he's the one that actually helped me curate the people that I worked with. Yeah. So now when he's curating, actually funny story, I remember he put these people, I'm still in Australia at this time. He put these people together. Yeah. I come to Kenya and I meet these people. I'm like, cool. Like tick, 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 bam. I remember working with someone else and they were like, oh, let's just still look for other producers and stuff just to make sure. So I was staying with Polycarp at this time. Every single day, like I would leave the house, go and meet with a producer, come back home. And these are producers that obviously Polly knows, right? So I come into the house and we're in the kitchen, we're like making some food or something. I'm like, yeah, you know what, Polly, I went and met this person. And he would just look at me, he'd be like, and how did it go? And he just knows that it's not going to work. So that's the thing. Like I met all these people and I was just like, yeah, they're not for me. And he knew exactly why. But yeah, I mean, long story short, really I'll allow people in, but even before I allow you in, you've gone through quite a number of checklists.
You mentioned the camp, and before we get to that, I think you allowed the right, and this is my opinion, right? I think you allowed the right people to work on this project. Polycarp is just really good, I think, at what he does, and guitars and everything, and he's done production for a long time, like with Sauti Soul, and
very
stuff
skilled,
like that. So he has that knowledge, and then you got Ward Omolo, who is he in terms of what you're trying to do, that whole Nilotic vibe. One thing I really appreciate about him is the way he does his vocals and chants. Like that really
so
worked
catchy.
well.
Yeah,
it worked
right?
really well for what you were trying. Like I think that was the perfect couple of people for that album. And then you also got there's Okello Max and Iwaya Tajiri on there, who are also very pro.
Yes.
Pro
is such a good work.
Or something. They just have they put their culture on the front foot, sort of. And so that was just really solid move. It was a solid choice.
Yeah.
Of people to collaborate with for your first, like, this is your debut, right?
This is the debut. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah. You guys got into a camp.
We're clapping. I love it.
It's such a disjointed clap.
I love it.
No, it's really dope, really
dope.
Thank you. And really cool, because like your path in a way, like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, you're going to look back and this is like part of your history now. As grueling as it might be, and you have to perform, and there's just so much behind. Like this is actually part of you. And that's the beauty about art. It comes from within us, but then it also melds with us, and it just becomes one. So you're like one with the saint and the sinner.
Yes,
so the camp. You went to a camp to get the album done.
Yes,
apparently. Tell us about that. That's an interesting concept.
It's actually a common thing. A lot of I feel like right now there's a camp that I know these boys are doing at this point.
Oh, really?
Those I don't know who. I think it's Savara is on a camp. It's a very common thing actually. Yeah, a lot of artists usually just lock out, or even if you don't lock out, I think it's just kind of dedicating like time and saying, we're gonna use this week or two to produce this piece of project. So we went out to Naivasha, locked out for 2 weeks in the middle of nowhere really, and just made a lot of noise.
we were reading about rules. You guys had rules.
Oh, yeah.
We saw your camp rules.
Welcome to Elsy Wameyo as well. And you know what's so
was
funny?
Was that you who created the rules?
Of course.
It's you who created the rules. Why did I even ask that question? Of course.
My favorite is number 5. Have fun. If you don't, you'll be kicked out.
You get kicked out. If you don't have fun, why are you here?
How do you threaten people to have fun?
I'm not going to threat. It's all love.
My goodness.
It's all love. No, but you know what?
What made you the way you are?
My mom and dad.
Why are you the way you are?
I don't know. No, but honestly, I think I would actually pin it to my mom and dad. They can be quite, that's another conversation. But no, I feel like, again, going back to that thing of like intricacy, you can't, I think when you're talking about a project, every little thing plays a part, from the way people wake up to how they feel, to what they're eating, to what they're thinking about. Every little thing plays a part. So I was like, there was actually a couple of rules that were maybe 1 or 2 that I took off of that post. There was one of them. These are the ones
I want to hear, please.
No. It's not that bad. I feel like there was one that I took out there that said,
no eating.
Give me.
No bathroom
breaks.
Can't
come up with fire.
You can't sleep.
No bathroom breaks for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, you can't sleep. No,
I think we have a hit song.
There was one that said, either give me 100% or give me 0, because I don't want in between.
Oh, that's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
I was saying to these guys, and this was predominantly, it was actually UI, because UI is the one that I sat with most of the time. Yeah. And there would be moments where obviously you'd have, you want to, like, you just need a break, which is so fine. But I remember just explaining to everyone, I was like, just give me 100% at all times, because everything plays a part. And if I'm there with you and we're writing a song, and then let's say someone calls you and you kind of step out for a second, you talk about like anointing, let's say if you're in service, if you're in the spirit and you just step out for a second, when you come back, you have to...
He's done.
You have to work.
Oh, you left me. Oh, yeah. I'm going now.
Bye. So you have to work, and it's that concentration. It's that just like being aligned to the purpose and the will. And that's all it was. It's just aligning ourselves with like, what are we here for? And I mean, when we're talking about Saint Sinner, the project is so much bigger than what you hear. A lot of the time that we spent in camp was therapy sessions. And this isn't even for me. Like I remember we had people crying even before I cried. Like it was so, so much bigger than Elsy Wameyo. Like that was God. And at all times we were just trying to align ourselves to, again, it's like what God was really doing in our lives and in that time and in that moment. So we have to be particular. You gotta sit up straight then.
I wanted to tell you, yes, the way you say sit up straight then scratches my brain so nicely. It scratches my brain right in the right place.
In the right way.
That's so cool.
Yeah, one other thing, I really love the song Sinner. It's just,
oh my gosh, thank you. Wow.
Yeah, man. And there's a couple of lines you say. I think it's born a sinner, saint is gone. Intrusive thoughts better me, but the inner suffers silently. And bro, intrusive thoughts are things that people don't really talk about much. It's something that I've personally also gone through and battled. Like, what's your and sharing that. I appreciate you sharing that. And
of course,
it takes a lot of like transparency and courage to kind of talk about
to say that, right? I think I remember when I was writing that line, I remember because it was my point of realizing, because we're taught to kind of keep your intrusive thoughts in your mind and don't say it because crazy, and so fine, because there's obviously like a fine line between very crazy things to say. But anyway, I think I've realized that, again, for a long time I was always either biting my tongue or speaking in a certain way in the name of keeping the peace. And so the reason I say intrusive thoughts better me is because the moment I came to kind of like line myself up with what my intrusive thoughts were saying and allowing myself to just say them and allowing myself to live by them, I realized that I was personally now benefiting, because a lot of the times I was keeping my intrusive thoughts. The world was benefiting, but me personally, I was struggling. I was really struggling, and I was bottling things up. And truly, it was just a point of coming to terms with how I truly felt and being transparent about that with myself. And putting myself first before the world.
Yeah. You have, and you've talked about God a lot. And that's obviously a very obvious theme in the whole from saint to sinner.
Yes.
I don't know how to phrase this question. First, I guess, what role does faith or religion and your relationship with God, what does that play in your life? How does that play out in your life personally? And then how that bleeds into the music and why you choose to be so forward with it. We don't see a lot of artists who they tend to, especially when it comes to things of God, religion, they tend to put it to the side and just focus on music and not want to be forward with even people who came from church. Like they came from church and they might have that background and they might still have that, that sort of relationship and in their lives, but then they don't want that to affect
that's the thing.
Business or the music or they don't want to be specific. Why do you not apparently seem to care about that?
I think at the very bottom of it, I think it's just how I am. But when we thinking and talking just realistically, I guess, for me, the first thing that comes to my mind is that in my life, I feel God has moved so powerfully and so profoundly that if I even dare try take that honor away, it would be detrimental to what I do. Okay. Because I know that the reason that I'm here, yes, I thank God for the people that have helped me in the hands, that have blessed me to be in the position that I am. Yeah. But I really truly know that that's by God's grace and His grace alone. And it doesn't make sense to give that honor to someone else. So I just feel there are things that happened that are so far beyond my being and the works of other people's hands that I'm I can't even try and say that it's someone else's doing. And there's the other thing as well. I feel what you've just said something about people being scared to mention God or, religion because of what it does to the work. And I don't know, I feel I feel like that statement even just makes me laugh because the two go hand in hand for me personally. Okay. So I guess now going to the music, it's in Umva you hear, what's that line? After that, there's a line in Umva that I don't know off the top of my head, but I say something along the lines of, it's true. I just write so well, but it's because it's so. No, I need to find that word. Humphrey, what's the line? Can you please thingy on my phone? And I love it because it's so far. Thank you. It's so far beyond me. Because if you guys knew the amount of times, I remember writing River Nile, there are things that I wrote on there that I didn't even clock. And people come to me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you did this and this and here." I was like, I don't remember doing that. You know, it's so much. It's so far beyond what I'm personally thinking and what I want to do. So in Umva, there's a line, what do I say? I'm going to find this, guys. Bear with me. There's so many things that I've said here. No, guys, stop. You're giving me pressure.
This is an audio. So she's currently on her phone looking
scrolling
up lyrics.
Yes.
And meanwhile, we shall entertain you with the sounds of...
Where is this line? What the heck?
Frustration.
No, it's gonna come. It's gonna come. Where is it in the first section?
I'm also looking at your lyrics right now.
Oh, I guess I should too.
Yeah, guys, open up your phone. Open Umva lyrics.
Yeah, we're
tap the game. Later on,
looking at lyrics session.
It is a favor. Pace up. I thought it was in the first section. It's something about how I write.
Most underrated, never hated. No.
No, it's something about how I write. Why am I not seeing... Okay, no, guys, I'm going to have to actually go top to bottom. I'm so sorry. I just have to do it, right?
Go ahead.
All right, most underrated, lock the game up.
I know if you don't find it, it's going to kill you.
Yeah, it's going to mess me up. It's going to mess me up. Pick the pace up. Don't move in anger. Try ease of mind. Oh, here we go. I'll come clean. It's the powers that be. I write with no hesitation. Mm-hmm. And that line for me was so profound, I remember, because I was like, that was my time to be like... Just know that whenever I put pen to paper, it's God truly. There are things that I just put down and I'm like, oh, that was cool. Mm-hmm. And I didn't intend to, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, coming back, I feel, for me, really God is the center of it all. And He's the only one that hasn't let me down. Yeah. So I can only give honor honor to him because of that.
It's very cool. Do you ever get people? Sorry, Afam, just before we go, do you ever get people who push against that? Like in the industry, I don't know over there. I don't know your situation, like with labels and everything, but you get people who push back against that and say, no, let's sanitize it a little bit more, or even people on your team who might not necessarily feel the same way you do, and are pushing back. And then what would your response to them be if it's different from what you just said, I guess?
On my team, no, because you wouldn't be on my team if you...
There you go.
You wouldn't be on the team in the beginning.
Definitely curating some energy over there.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say that everyone on my team are like Christian and but it's just respecting. It's just understanding and respecting that. I've never had anyone come explicitly and try to tell me, maybe don't say that or but yeah, I feel like if they did, I would just be like, all right, bye. Like, why would I waste my time then? Because I'd be lying to myself and I'd be lying to you if I tried to dilute it in any way. But yeah, I haven't crossed that in the industry yet, but that's probably because I'm so intricate and I weed through a lot of things even before we get to those spaces. So,
I think, and then I guess Afam, you could go. I think the more you grow, and this is just a thing, the more you grow, it's probably good to, if that's your worldview and that's how you want to progress, it's probably good to solidify that now.
Yes.
Because the more you grow and the more notoriety you get, these kinds of things are challenged in artists. Like if you sign to like a big label, and they get a lot of control, it's the little things. It's it's you putting your culture first. It's you talking about religion. It's you talking about certain subject topics that they begin to say, listen, fam, we need you to sanitize that a bit.
Yeah.
So it's knowing that as you're growing as an artist helps you to figure out, now you're on the right path, which you're like, listen, if you're on my team, you know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But later on the fight might get tougher.
Thank you for preparing me.
Yeah, the fight might get tougher. So it's just important to keep that in mind in the sense of, I know what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get lost in everything that everyone else wants me to be. Because that's the artist, right? You tend, when you become what everyone else wants you to be.
Yeah.
And they like you, but they like you a certain way.
Yes.
And so you have to be that certain way or you're done. We don't want anything to do with you. So it's a tough fight, but you seem like you're a fighter. So
I'm a fight. I'm a fight.
Is music in exile your thing?
No, it's not me. There's a guy in Australia, Melbourne specifically. His name's Joe.
Shout out Joe.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe, man. Genuinely, shout out Joe, man. If it wasn't for Joe, honestly, I wouldn't be where I am, because he was the first and only, honestly, person in the industry to take a, what do you call it? What do you call it? Like, take a bet on me kind of thing? Is that what they say?
Yeah.
So he invested, you know how in River Now you hear like should have invested. He was the one that truly invested, not only financially, but just time-wise, and just went, you know what, take a shot. He took a shot on me.
Yeah.
So Joe has the label Music in Exile, and it's like an independent, kind of like non-for-profit label over there. And they're specifically about like, I guess it's like multicultural. It's like a multicultural label. So they have like people from Africa, Asia, anything you could kind of like name. And their goal is to just like put us on the forefront, and they're just so about that. And kind of so about putting the culture at the forefront. So he's the one that kind of runs Music in Exile.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I wanted to ask, talk us through like the artwork inspiration for Saint Sinner. I know it comes from the videos because I saw similarities.
Yes.
I mean, it looks like it comes from like Pinlara.
Exactly.
Also, I love how Sinner transitions into Pinlara. That was really cool the way you guys did that. But what was the inspiration behind the artwork, and why that specific picture that you guys used?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I actually, funny enough, I didn't have any thought to what the album artwork was going to be, especially at that time.
Yeah.
But the amazing Holly Zinner, he's a photographer, and he shot both Sinner and Pinlara BTS music videos.
Okay.
And so he shot a couple of, pictures during Pinlara. And I remember when I just laid my eyes on that one photo, I felt it just said what Saint Sinner was. And it spoke to me on that level of the idea of like just that duality where you see Elsy in the middle and she's kind of being eaten or like, I don't know, consumed by these white figures, which you would think are angels, but then it doesn't look very angelic. And it just gave that very Saints in a tug and pull. So I think honestly, it was just looking through BTS images for Pin Lara specifically, and I saw the image and I immediately was like, this is the cover. It spoke to me.
I love the contrast like from that, like with the white figures around you, and then Umva where you're in the parking lot and like it's a bunch of guys in black like around you. I love that contrasting.
It's a black and white.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing. We love people like this. These guys, did their homework.
I like your bottle cap weave.
Oh yes,
That's like an art
and I
piece,
saw on Instagram you made it like I saw you like doing it like that's crazy.
Man.
How long did it take you? How many sodas did you have to drink?
That's a solid question. No, that's a solid question.
I saw Balozi there
over
somewhere.
here.
Like, anyway.
No, do you know? I actually know. So the beginning of I saw the inspo on Instagram and I was like, oh, I have to replicate this. I forget the person's name, but there's someone that has done it, something similar.
Okay.
And I kind of just added my own twist to it. And I immediately was like, okay, I just need like, it was like hammer, this, that. But I went to Costo Juang. And
Costa is amazing. His art and everything.
You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
Brilliant.
And so because he knows and has that whole art thing, I was like, oh, he's gonna give me some insight into how to, because initially actually before the hammer, it was, I saw the guy use a drill and in the video when he was making it, he was like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. So when I went to Costa, I was like, do you have a drill? And he was like, why would you need a drill? Just use a hammer, dude.
No.
But in my mind, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he quickly just showed me on a couple of bottle pieces and he was like, just get a nail and just hammer it, bro. So he showed me and I was like, oh, perfect. So I just kind of like took the hammer and nails back home and he helped me gather all of the, I just went to the studio and he had gathered like a bunch of
helped with your cholesterol, I guess. The blood sugar. Do you dabble in fashion? Is fashion okay? Yes. So you have different things you're doing. You've got the music. You've got you're an actor, right?
Oh my gosh, you went deep.
Yeah, you're an actor. You act, and then man. You also have strong themes of fashion in everything you do. I guess just talk about that, like in terms of like fashion and your music, and how you envision those two coming together to sort of put forward what you're trying to show.
Yeah, I mean it's an expression, right? Like from the music, when you hear, if I tell you a story now, there's no way that you won't build images in your head. Yeah. So for me, I think the music only begins when the pen touches the paper, but it doesn't finish until you get to see it in real life. And now when you're talking about theater and acting, that's, watching a play or watching a show or whatever. So I feel like from the moment you write the song to the moment it's transcribed visually on screen, both of those journeys and translations are very important because it does something to the story. There's something that words does that, an outfit can't do, and vice versa. An outfit brings color to a story that, you can't necessarily maybe try and scribe with words. So I feel like it's such a huge part. And I mean, I just love fashion altogether. I love, I just love creating. I always say I just love creating, and I love, just like piecing things together is fun, man. Yeah. I just love getting fabrics, just trying weird things and putting things together and making anything really.
Fashion tends to be a lot of just weird things.
Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, fashion, I feel like fashion, as far as obviously what we wear, like obviously you've got your clothes, but I feel like fashion still stems outside of that too. Do you know what? Your personality plays a really big role and how your fashion and your style comes out. Maybe it's not personality. Maybe it's your, what's the word? Like people have been saying like aura. Like, how we could wear this.
Your aura.
I don't know what it is. Like we could wear the same outfit, but the way I carry it will be very different. And that's what.
It's very very demure. Very demure.
Exactly.
Yeah, just like you could give two singers the same lyrics, same melody, but how it comes out is different.
Very different.
I think it's fashion tends to be an extension of your, I don't want to say aura again, but it tends to be an extension of that. And so you with fashion, like you wear the pieces. Yeah. It's not clothes. You don't wear clothes. You wear the pieces.
Right. Pieces don't wear.
And then however you move through that, that's kind of what it becomes.
Exactly.
Which is pretty cool. It's interesting though. You're just all over the place with it. You're like a creative.
That's what I say, man. I just create. Yeah. I love saying I'm just a creator, like my God. I just create.
Wake up in the morning to create.
I just create.
That's what drives you.
Yeah, man. We create. I mean, this podcast is a creation.
It is.
From the questions that you asked me is a creation. The tea that you made this morning is a creation. Like everything is something being molded. So at the end of the day, we are creators, like our God.
We are creators.
When are we hearing from the Dons? From
the Dons?
I mean, because I saw Lil Minor in the video for Umva. Like, is there gonna be like a collaboration in the works?
I feel like we need to call Minor right now and just ask him.
Yo, bro, what's up?
Should we just call? No, I'd love
what's
to.
Going on?
I feel like I'd enjoy a track with Minor. I think that would be really fun.
Okay.
Even like Brooklyn Boys, I've really been loving them guys. Yeah, man, those guys are fire. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I guess this is a good place too. Like what? Let's talk about collaborations in Kenya and stuff. I know you've done one with on the project with Costa and Iwaya Tajiri. Wodomolo usually is a collaborator, but is like a silent collaborator with all his angelic vocals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Who else have you worked with that we might not know about if you can talk about it? Because I know there'd be hush, there'd be contracts and NDAs. And then who else? I guess we can start there. Then we go to who are you like looking forward to, or who would you want to like work with?
I mean, I feel like I've kind of already sold myself out, but who I'd want to work with is honestly Brooklyn Boys. I feel like they're the number one at this point that I'm like, oh, do you know what? That would be a genuine, solid collaboration.
Yeah.
That would be so fun.
I can already see the video.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Will you bring them into your world or will you go? But you've already done drill.
So now, let me tell you, right?
You've done the drill.
These, kind of, yeah, fair. I mean, these are now the questions that I sit with at home where I'm like, working with cats like the Brooklyns and the Minors, I know would be a very different art form to how I create. So those actually are the questions that are currently running through my mind when it comes to these collaborations over here in Kenya and just collaborations in general. But yeah, I mean, at this point, we're not there yet. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes out. But it would be fire regardless, I'm sure. But yeah, I feel like Kenya just has such a big pool of artists and I honestly don't even know half of them. So I'm still in the process of getting to know people, learning and all of that. So yeah, I mean, for now, let's just stay the Brooklyn Boys.
What about, let's broaden it outside of Africa, outside of Kenya.
Oh, Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick, just off the bat, you didn't even think it's like reflex.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh, it's like there's a button in my mind that just
whenever a question is asked, Kendrick, just spam in the Kendrick button.
I really would, but even with Kendrick, like even if I didn't get like a track, like I would love to just spend a day. That would be more than enough.
Kendrick does seem he seems like a cool,
man.
Just a chill,
just a day.
Listen, let's talk. Let's. I would learn life and everything. Yeah.
I feel like you would learn so much from that. So yeah, fire. Kendrick for sure.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a question. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of a question that maybe you've never had in an interview right now. Something left.
Here we go.
What's your favorite fast food? What do you like for fast food?
Oh, fast food.
Do you guys have that in Australia?
Oh, yeah. I feel...
easy. Don't
I feel like... Spot. No, I think it's interesting because in Kenya specifically...
Yeah.
As much as obviously there is fast food here, majority of the food that we eat is just like good. Like I'm loving my chapos, I'm loving my dengus and like stuff like that. So I'm more inclined to eat fresh here than fast food, I would say.
Okay.
Not to say that I don't eat fast food here, but I'm definitely more inclined to just like fresh food.
Yeah.
I think if I was to say fast food that I love, it's not even inAustralia though. In-N-Out is really cool. I love In-N-Out.
Yeah, that is.
But I have it like once every like 5 years whenever I go to the States.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, but I would say In-N-Out. Everything else to me almost tastes the same.
And there we have it. This is a Sam. This is a 30% podcast exclusive. Elsy Wameyo likes In-N-Out. Listen, we are doing the real journalism.
If we knew, we would have ordered some. By the time it would get a bit moldy and whatnot.
But from the States, maybe the New York trip. That's what it is. When we go to New York, we'll sit and have. That would be the best. Let's go to New York and get In-N-Out. That's the plan.
I will buy a ticket just to get In-N-Out.
It's actually genuinely so good.
Just to get In-N-Out.
Yeah,
it looks really good. So you're on tour.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You're running around.
Running everywhere.
When did you start that, per se?
I think 3 weeks ago, on the day of the release of the album was that was our second show actually, depending on where you were in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played Copenhagen and Switzerland just a few weeks ago. And then we have London. We're in UK this month, I guess, 30th.
Fun.
31st actually. And the rest I do not know off the top of my head.
I don't expect
we have a lot of European, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of European. Oh, we've got Australia. We've got Australia at the end of the year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Australia,
But let me not set myself up.
No, set yourself up.
Nah, dibs not. Dibs not.
That's cool. Is performing, what's the difference between in terms of, I guess, vibes and performing in other countries versus performing where you're known most? That's like performing. And what I don't say what draws you. I mean, what's more exciting for you? Because I feel like you're going to PC that answer. But what excites you about performing in those different places?
It's weird because it's almost backwards. When I'm at homes, at times I feel, when I say home, when I'm in Australia, at times I feel right. At times I feel that there's almost like complacency, maybe I'm just being nice for them, but you have to beg people to come to shows because people are used to you. They're used to, so like if I did like an Adelaide show, Adelaide's where I live in Oz, like selling tickets.
Wait, sorry, pause before you continue. Afam, we've got our lingo.
Oh gosh.
Oz.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness gracious me.
Oz. It's not Australia. It's not, none of that. You heathens, you outsiders. It's Oz.
Heathens is crazy.
Right. I'm sorry, continue. Oz.
Out in Oz.
Something about Oz.
Okay. Out in Oz. Yeah, you almost, I mean, the whole selling tickets for a show is kind of worldwide, really. Like people are really struggling, but I still just feel there's a hardship to even getting family to just like come out and watch a show. It's so hard. But now the difference when you're playing outside, you have genuine people. Like, because a lot of these people don't even know who you are. A lot of the times they've just seen the poster like a day or two ago and they're like, oh, this seems cool. And they just rock up.
They give you more of a chance.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's genuine love. And I feel when you're at home,
it's conditional love.
Yeah, it's just conditional. It's if we feel like it. If we're going to see you at home anyway. You know? So yeah, I think that's a difference. And if it's anything, I would answer your question and say I love performing to quote unquote outsiders more because of that, because it's just genuine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say that there are no genuine people. Love you guys out there. Woo, yay.
Clean that up real quick. You have to clean that. Clean it. No. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Honestly, there's a very fair few. And this is why I love Saint Sinner Elsy and Nilotic Elsy, because these are the things that I would never say like 3-4 years back. Yeah. But I clocked like at home, I thought about the amount of things that maybe some friends would ask me to come to, whether it's like supporting their work or whatever it was. And I'm the person that I'll try and show up if I can, and I'll try and be there if I can.
Yeah.
But then I remember sitting down, it was actually at the last tour when I was doing Nilotic. And I remember just going like, half of these people, bro, like the amount of times that I've come to your events, like and I've just asked you to come to like a 30-40 minute hour show, and it's just long for you. Like it didn't make sense in my head. So I feel, I mean, yes, at the end of the day, it's not even to clean up. Like I genuinely want to say that there are people out there that do support, and I truly appreciate it. But I guess they always say it's the closest ones that you kind of just go, this is very interesting. But here we are. But it's biblical, right? Like that stuff is so deep, and that's just how it is.
The whole being accepted in your own time.
Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice.
Yeah. So I guess the last thing I want to say, well, first I want to say, shout out to you for. So over here we talk about music industry stuff, branding, and all that type of stuff. I really love to see how well branded you are. You're setting up your tour. You have your website. Your artwork is always on point. The art is always cohesive.
Thank you.
And Yeah, I feel like that's something that a lot of artists, like, we kind of lack, me included. It's where we don't have like really
not the me included.
No, for real, trust me. Like, we don't have the best like brand identity, but you have the vinyls that you're also doing. Like, it's really cool. Like, everything seems so organized on your end, and I want to just applaud you guys and your team.
Thank you.
I want to applaud your team for that as well.
And for paying attention to that aspect of things.
The last question I guess the last question I wanted to ask was, and this is the most generic of them all, is
here we go.
What can we expect? What more can we expect, like, after Saint Sinner and everything?
What's next? You dropped an album. When's the next one coming?
Yeah, what's the next thing?
I honestly, I think this is the first time I'm saying this here.
Yeah.
I want to do.
Let's go.
Yeah, okay, I'm doing. That's how much love there is.
Play the exclusive. I mean, sorry.
I really want to do not an album. I don't think I'm going to do an album next. And I mean, I say this again because it's seasonal, right? And you never know what's going to come at me. But I really want to do a Nilotic too. But I don't think I feel like doing an album. Bro, albums are ghetto. When I finished the album, I realized, do you know that interview that Beyonce that does? And she's like, people don't do albums anymore. They just release singles. They just da-da-da. And it's because people don't have the...
It's Beyonce,
right?
That,
And I remember...
I'm shocked you know that.
And and she's always like, people don't want to put the effort in and stuff like that. Yeah. And at that point, I had never done an album. Ooh, child, ask me today. Albums are ghetto. And I get why people...
She says after she just dropped one.
It's hard, man. Yeah. It's hard. It's like, for me, I loved it because, there was a lot of growth and you kind of just persevere through it. But I guess what I will say is that I now know why people don't do albums, and everyone always chooses the easy options. And obviously that's just, do a single and call it a day. Yeah. But I think it's a journey that I'm so grateful for. It's like I'm just being reminded about, you were speaking about how when an artist does an album and you can hear that it's just singles collated together versus an artist that has actually, taken time to curate it, to curate an actual project. So I feel it's a very worthwhile journey, especially once you get to the end. During the journey, it's a bit tough, but the people, the listeners feel it, and the people hear it and they resonate. So it's worthwhile on that end.
I look forward to listening to a Nilotic too.
That's true.
Me too, man. Me too.
Are you going to keep on the same sound, or you're trying to find something different?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I just know that. Yeah. Feels. Yeah. Because I think Nilotic definitely just unlocked that character. I almost feel like... Nilotic was like the first unlock, and then Saint Sinner happened as a byproduct, but then it's like go back to Nilotic now to tap in to the original, if that makes sense. So like I feel like Saint Sinner was almost just like a side thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. I'd like to hear you on some just drum breaks.
Yeah, man.
I want you to just hear straight 3-minute raps.
Just Andre 3000. Good.
Just keep going. Just go. No hook. No, nothing. Just
back
raps.
to back to back.
Sample too.
Damn.
Ooh, I'm waiting for that.
Oh my god.
Or some drum and bass stuff, like you have because you do a lot of the like that UK cadence. I can hear a lot of it. It's really cool. I mean that's all for me. Sam, did you have any other questions?
No, I don't. I mean, if the kind of questions, I'm very cerebral when it comes to artists, because I'm also interested in like psychology and philosophy. So my questions are more. I want to go deep and figure out why you think the way you think, and we just don't have much time.
That's it. We have to do a episode 2.
Yeah, for sure.
But I love it. I'm all in. I'm all for that. I'm really for the psychology, the anthropologies, the everythingologies.
It's fun. Yeah, it's a fun part. Being an artist is cool, but then I like to know what makes an artist, why they make the decisions they make, and everything. But no, I mean, you're definitely you've said a couple of things that, one, for me, I think makes sense in terms of, especially when it comes to like the whole value conversation, right? And this is what I value, and so I'm going to move forward with that, and I'm not going to
compromise
with that, and that's really important in the industry. We're producers, so we tend to be on the back end. We don't necessarily focus on that a lot. We're not like in people's faces.
True.
But in the age of the producer artist, I think we might need a little bit of that. But no, not for me. I guess one thing that we usually do at the end, I don't know, we didn't tell you before, but is we ask you to put you in the spotlight. All right, you're on the spotlight. Elsy Wameyo, she's on the spotlight.
Here I am.
You're used to it, though.
Am I what, sorry?
You're used to the spotlight.
Oh, yeah. I honestly love it. I love being in front of people's...
Cool. It's great. So one thing we do is we ask our guests to play. So usually at the end of the podcast, we play like music, right? So we ask our guests to play a song, preferably a Kenyan song. A song by a Kenyan artist that you're rocking with. It could be you, it could be whoever you want to put on, but from Kenya. And just to put that person on or put yourself on, whatever you want to do. That's the spot I was talking about. Not lights.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I feel like it would be very easy to give myself that spotlight again. I almost want to, I'm opening my Apple Music and I'm looking to see if I can find... What's it? This is going to be so... Actually, wait. Oh, there's so many people that I just want to like play now. I reckon let's play Okello Max.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Genesis.
What's
Genesis?
Yeah. I feel like that's a good one.
I like Okello Max.
I love. Forget like.
Oh, my bad.
I love.
You're a step further.
Yeah. It's
Genesis by Okello Max. Is that from a recent project or?
No, it was actually, I think this was a single. Yeah, this was a single. I think the recent one was the 3-piece EP, if I'm not wrong. But this was a single prior to that, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So, guys, you are listening to the smooth sounds of Okello Max. So this is Genesis.
Morlilo korumo enyuagoremo. Wakati ilianza kinapedeshea damu ilikuwa beautiful. Sasa hivi ai mtoto ya Pamela. Ngaye bolingo ya nzele. Hera masaniti na watch no ingoya. Kila ngato donje mana manyomoke. Inyapangi mipani weche vudu. Karagipandi wenge uchomo fuku. Chunda no mudo mandiwa. Okdinge muheri ya tira. Chunda no mudo mandiwa. Okdinge muheri ya tira. Mapenzi huwa tamu kianza. Hera kachako, honeymoon. Lavo kotogini pako nyake polo. Simbe igoyo mafuai oro mapenzi ya godoro. Opongo kad so pinge choi di nyaka Moroko. To meet samarumo. Mambo inachemuka pingi polo. Alie kuoge sasa adui yako. Eti kuwaibi sana inakuwa mitindo. Tena bila aibu pale kwa mitandao. Mama Mkishazoea na utamu okole. Simu za kila siku hizi ya munge. Wakukadol pia kitanda haitoshei. Hebu songa kule mwenzangu asonge. Genesis, sielewi mahaba wenda wapi nashindwa. Mbona isiwe kama zamani. Tupendane kama mwanzo na isiishe. Pendane kama mwanzo na isiishe. Kosodi bede ni wanema warwenyoyo. Kosodi bede matindo manwatimogo. Asepenjora okayudoko gini chando ya. Si Khadija si Fatuma kila mtu analia, Carolina, Amelina na upia wa Mirambo. Ikitu haina komando wala manual na hukupewi masomo. Na matine wahigo era maradiera nyakagiko, vile tutakavyoanza tumalizie, tena tusishuke namba tuzidishie. Unaongeza asilimia 200 kuendelea ipande juu. Tomit samarumo mambo inachemuka pingi polo, aliyekuogesa sasa adui yako, eti kuwaibi sana inakuwa mitindo, tena bila aibu pale kwa mitandao. Mkishazoea na utamu wa Okello, simu za kila siku hizi ya Monday, wakukadol pia kitanda haitoshei, hebu songa kule mwenzangu asonge. Genesis sielewi mahaba wenda wapi, nashindwa mbona isiwe kama zamani, tupendane kama mwanzo, ona isishe, tupendane kama mwanzo, ona isishe kama zamani, mbona tusipendane kama zamani, mbona tusipendane kama zamani, mambo ya mapenzi inatesa sana roho, mambo ya mapenzi inachanganya mandume, mambo ya mapenzi inafanya ninja nalia, mambo ya mapenzi ala la 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 la, woyo muka sandora asandora love ya. Hey, let Gadier.
That was Genesis by Okello Max. Thank you. That was such an amazing suggestion. Thank you so much for coming through, Elsy.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It's really cool, man. Really,
I appreciate
genuinely
that.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Put yourself on.
Yeah, man.
Put yourself on.
I'm shy.
Announce your socials.
I love being in the spotlight, but I'm actually very shy.
Social security, everything. Just put yourself.
Full government name.
Everything, all of it.
My name is Elsy Wameyo.
This is the part in like hot ones where they're like, "Oh, do you have anything to plug?
Do you have anything else?" No. If anything, it's just the album, man. Go and listen to Saint Sinner.
Please do.
Listen to Saint Sinner, man.
Be inspired. Open your heart. Let it move you. Find me on socials. ELSY, not IE. ELSY.
Not IE. Get it right. Yeah.
Elsy Wameyo. Elsy Wameyo on all social media platforms. Message me. I might just reply. And yeah, that's it. I don't have. Yeah, man. I have nothing else to say.
You gave yourself room for
what?
For not.
No, I might. No, the reason I say might is because there's so many people. Do you know what? I think about this all the time, right? Like, I'm not Beyonce, and I have so many messages that it sometimes gives me anxiety. So I'm thinking, when you're like Beyonce level or something, like, what do you do?
You just have to turn it off.
You know, you either turn it off or you offload it to an intern.
Maybe, yeah.
Give them the stress.
So yeah, that's the thing. I feel like I've lost. The other day I was responding to a friend of mine, and that message sat in my request like deep, and I was just like, I'm sorry, like it just call me direct next time. But anyway,
that's cool.
ELSYWAMEYO at me.
Shout out to you and the team too. We never ever shout out people's teams, but they make you move.
Yeah.
So you guys and everyone who makes you work, like, it's solid. It's definitely people that we need to highlight as everything around the music that makes the music move.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what this podcast is about. Is also highlighting the other parts that we don't talk about.
That's beautiful.
The managers, we talk about the promoters, we talk about, stage, whatever they are.
Right, yeah.
And all contributes towards the music. So
100%.
shout out to you guys. Shout out to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Episode 90.
Shout out to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for, man.
Accept your shout out and internalize
we take it in. No, thank you guys for putting people on and just like allowing people to come here and talk smack for a little while.
Yeah, Kenya is definitely a gold mine. It's a gold mine of talent.
Truly.
It's our duty. It's our pleasure to put you.
Thank you.
On. Yeah.
See you in New York, guys.
See you in New York.
In and out.
See you in New York and see you guys in episode 91.
91. Bye.
Bye.